Welcome back from the break. And for those that are still joining us, that have started with us, this is Smart Means Business. For those that have just joined in, this is how we do it. SMB. We're dedicated to giving you all the updates. Be the first to know what is happening across the business world, and also being ready to know what is happening from all angles to do with price commodities, forex updates, and all that in one show. A Kickstarter for you. The month of February is starting on a note that is high for most probably every other person. Salaries being paid in left, right, and center from the 27th. I think it is a salary week for most probably every organization out there. Others may be received theirs over last weekend. So it is one that I would definitely say starting on a high note after a long January to some people. But this clearly shows you we're in the second month of the year. And with the second month of the year takes us back to the bigger question. How ready are you to recover? How ready are you to revive your business? How ready are you? Because this very year is where we are looking at economic recovery. And with that, you try as much as you can to see that you utilize the opportunities that come through. All right. Before the break, I did mention about external recruitment agencies. You've heard of all these particular stories, and stories regarding whether or not most of the Ugandans traveling out of the country. We've seen almost everyone in Uganda here looking at how great they can move out of the country and how they benefit out of it. From the world of looking at, let's say, the country is not giving you a lot of money, then you decide to say, hey, let me take a trip, write down things, get a visa, or maybe get something else, and then move out of the country. That is what has been happening in the last 10 years. Now, on the matter of this particular situation, the continued case of workers working abroad propelled the minister in charge of gender, labor, and social development to make a visit to the Arab countries. Ronnie Mukundane, the public and corporate manager of the Association of External Recruitment Agencies, explains that the minister's visit to the Arab countries with a team of delegates had been a planned one. And let's take a look at the SMB Insight. First, on the matter of why the minister visited the United Arab Emirates, among other countries.
Bilateral that Uganda signed. Uganda has about, I would say, 2 bilateral labor agreements that it signed. It signed one with Saudi Arabia and also with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Now, the Jordan one has we had put kind of a stop because there were areas that were reviewing, and since 2018, no one has been able to be externalized to Jordan. But now, the current one that we've been working with is Saudi Arabia. Now, this bilateral was all expired at the end of last year, December 2021. So preparations, yes, were in gear to have this reviewed. And the delegation, of course, from Uganda was to travel there. So this is a visit that has not come in as a surprise. It's a visit that has been planned. But it's a visit also not to only go to Saudi Arabia and review this bilateral and discuss this, but also to go to other countries and try to have other bilaterals coming in. For example, Qatar. So we anticipate that in this visit, the minister with her delegation, which includes the PS, the commissioner, and also the chairperson of UERA, and the secretary general, plus other people, will be able to close or sign off Qatar. And we think this will be very good news. So what happened last year? Because, as I said, the bilateral was expiring, and of course there was always that need to go and have it reviewed, go and discuss. So it's not a surprise. It's not under any pressure. It has not come because of anything. But also we have seen a lot on social media. And for example, the issue of the girl who died from Egypt, who had been externalized to Saudi Arabia but died from Egypt. And the information we have, which I may not dwell so much into, is that she had already finished her 2 years contract in Saudi Arabia. And ideally, the mandate is because you see, in this sector, or in this exercise, it's not, the obligations do not only fall on the company. They also, you the worker, you have your obligations to play. You have a part to play. So after your 2 years contract, you are expected to come back to Uganda. You are expected. That's how the contract is. That's how the bilateral was signed. But most times we have seen our people, when they finish a 2 years contract, because they are maybe staying with the household which they are okay with, they opt to renew, which is illegal, because then you are renewing on your own. Now that changes everything. So unfortunately, this is what happened. And this contract of this particular person expired way back last year in June, and then a return ticket was issued to her, which she declined. But putting that aside, unfortunately, of course, she moved, and then and unfortunately she passed on, which is not something that we're happy about, because every time a Ugandan dies, you always worry. And of course, you saw so many issues coming up on social media on how her kidney was removed and all the things and all that. And I'll be very frank with you that when her body was returned, with the involvement of the government of Uganda, through the embassy, through foreign affairs, through means of gender, through means of health, to have the body returned, and of course means from internal affairs through the police. Once the body returns, every time someone comes back in that state, the aviation police takes over.
The minister's visit comes at a time when there is a new law, which was passed by government through the Ministry of Gender and Labour. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. With the new law in place, we would want to understand, how does this even affect the recruitment agencies, the external recruitment agencies? And Ronnie Mukundani had this to say.
That a new law was gazetted, which is the employment of the recruitment of Ugandan workers, Regulation 2021, which we normally call number 47 of 2021. Of course, it has had its effect, considering the changes that it came with. Notably, there were changes in, first of all, in the amount that is required, which we normally call bank guarantee. Previously, the 2005 law used to talk of 50 million. This one now comes with 100 million. Which means that for someone to have a company, or the existing companies have to kind of add on to their bank guarantee, the money that is there in the bank that the ministry or the government is entitled to touch, if I could literally use that word, to touch, just in case an issue arises. But also, this law brings in very interesting parts. For example, the training. It talks of training for all migrant workers, which was never the case. Previously, it used to be training or orientation for only domestic workers. But now it talks of all migrant workers, meaning plumbers, drivers, whichever category. You must, first of all, be trained. You must undergo what we call trade tests. They also must undergo orientation. For the domestic workers, that has been happening all together within 7 days. But now here they're talking of 14 days, which we're also finding a bit hard to put in practice. Because when you look at plumbers, for you to go for the job of plumbing, or for you to apply for a job of plumbing, you must have already been trained. Now, when they talk of 14 days, which is something that we're trying to contest, because we need to understand how will this work. Someone is already trained, you already own a certificate in plumbing. Now, what has always been the case is you have been undergoing what we call trade test, meaning the employer verifies that actually you can do this job, and that doesn't need 14 days. And also, when you look at orientation for these categories does not actually need 14 days. So this is something that we're engaging the ministry to see, because practically that doesn't make sense. If you're going for a job of security, you're already trained, you're already a security guard. You already, for example, the armed guards. These are retired, or the people who have left, UPDF who have left police. So what are you going to train them? They're already trained, so the only thing you can do is test the trade test to verify that actually they can do the target shooting and all that. And that is done by the employer or representative of the employer. And we believe that doesn't need the 14 days. So these are some of the things. But also, this new law brings in the issue of charges, because it talks of every job order, every job vacancy will attract $30. So if a job order comes with 100 vacancies, so each job vacancy will attract $30, which is paid to URA using now the new system. What does that mean? That ideally this cost will be transferred to the person who is seeking for a job, because the company is not going to pay for you for these extra costs. So that's what it means. And this is what we're trying to discuss with the government, that some of these decisions have a direct impact.
Last year, revision of a number of these things was that when you look at this particular one is that they will have to remove some of the issue that if someone is traveling abroad, they will not need a letter of good conduct. Only for those that are going to be working in the security related jobs, the security companies or security officers, drivers, because you will need a good document to show that you're a good driver. But for others, they'll definitely be good to go, because it has always been preventing or creating room, or it has actually been creating too much time wastage before someone could actually leave. If you have to look at some of the issue, let's at least look at a little bit of the law here, the law on external recruitment agencies, the rules and regulations. Let's look at the main one here, which is saying a person shall not transact business as a recruitment agency in Uganda without a valid license. And a person shall not be granted a license to operate as a recruitment agency unless it is a partnership registered under the Partnership Act of Uganda or a company incorporated under the Companies Act of Uganda. Vital. A person shall not transact any business regarding recruitment businesses unless they have a license. But the condition for one to get a license is when you're operating under a partnership, and this partnership should be registered under the Partnership Act of Uganda or a company incorporated under the Companies Act of Uganda. In Uganda today, you could definitely agree that a number of Ugandans, thousands, I would say millions, travel on an annual basis, thousands of Ugandans, to go out and seek for greener pastures. Don't know why it is a greener pasture anyway. I would say to seek for black pastures. Anyway, but a number of them do so. Why? Limited employment opportunities for Ugandans here. We do mention about starting up businesses, but then how do you start up a business when you don't have the money? This has forced a number of people to leave Uganda. And even those that are employed have been forced to leave their jobs in Uganda to go and concentrate on other jobs in the Arab countries. And of which some of them do believe that working in most of these is because they earn more money out of it. But that aside, like they normally say in the Luganda translated movies, Vakuchino, Dakuchino. That was those are words of Jingo. The other question is, why do we have increasing cases of human trafficking and yet we have a number of registered recruitment agencies? Let's take a look at this.
People want to work. And of course, the other thing is, yes, we have companies available, licensed recruitment companies, but they have to follow a certain kind of procedure to be able to externalize someone. I talked of 2 weeks training, which has just come in the new law. And most times, these people do not have that time to wait. So the legal way for someone to be able to travel may take more than 2 months because of the requirements, because of the processes. And sometimes people do not have that time to wait. So what happens is, because they feel someone has either deceived them and said, look, I will take you and work as a teacher, you'll earn 2 million, which to them they feel they should be able to travel immediately. So that has always caused a problem. But also what is being done is that we believe These bilaterals that I'm talking about, the minister and the delegation being in the Middle East now, if they could be able to sign off Qatar and the other countries, Bahrain and all that, if they could have more of these countries coming on board, then it would help fight the issue of trafficking. Because it is extremely very hard for someone to be trafficked, for example, now to Saudi Arabia. We have a bilateral. So we believe if these other countries come on board, it would kind of reduce the issue of trafficking. We know that there are so many Ugandans out there in those countries. Statistically, we know there are about 60,000 Ugandans in Oman, about 50 plus Ugandans in UAE, Dubai and all that, and most of them girls or ladies doing housemaid, and these have not gone through licensed companies. So these are purely a product of trafficking, or even some could be a low percentage of those who have gone on their own, but the majority of them are through trafficking. Why one should actually trust a licensed recruitment company is that should there be any trouble or anything, there is a fallback position. You may not anticipate what will happen, but if you have taken your son or your daughter or your sister and all that through a company A, should anything happen to that person, you have where to start from. You have a company to go to, this is a license, you have the government to go to, because they cleared, they licensed this company, they cleared this person to travel. So, and all that. So, but when you opt to go anyhow, should anything happen, you don't have anyone to go to. And that will be very clear, because the government will not know, the government never cleared this person, and then you may find it extremely hard to get help.
Everything is pushed out to the government. This government. Then you ask yourself questions, why most of the people in government hide away from responsibilities? Well, that and more is when you realize that, well, people will always look at who is in power, and even when they can take charge of this. But we have a number of increasing cases of human trafficking, not only in Uganda, but on the African continent, and also on the coastal line of the Arab countries in the north. As a number or millions of Africans are smuggled or trafficked into the European continent, and most of them normally go in out there as refugees, and others seek for asylum, claiming that they are gay and they're not being allowed in Uganda or in Nigeria or in most of the African countries that are against the other issues. Okay, that aside, the other bigger question under the external recruitment agencies is, why do these companies retain workers' passports? This is what Ronnie Mukundani had to say.
We need to know that just like here, people acquire what we call resident permits. And when you go the other side, you're going to get a work permit. So, and the only way they can get access to your details is through your passport. So it's obvious, it's known. The moment you reach, your passport will be taken. So that they process for you a work permit. Most countries call it Ikama. So most of these people who have gone to work abroad, majorly in the Middle East, they know it. They know that word called Ikama. So yes, someone will say whatever they want to say. They'll tell you, don't do this, don't give this. But this is a process. And without you having an Ikama or work permit or resident permit, you not live in that country legally. So this is it's one of those that are required, exercises that are required to be done. So we encourage people to accept, hand over their passports so that those details are processed, and then the passport is given back to you. Where it is not given back to you, you have all contacts. Inform us, inform the embassy, inform your partner, the employing company, the other side, or even the company that got you here, and you will have your details.
It's much easier to inform this, but the procedure.
You see, no, it's no. I always urge you. I always challenge people. How do you get to know that this person is in trouble? They will communicate through a phone. So during that time, when they're informing the public on social media how they have taken away my passport, why can't you use the same time to inform the partner the other side, your company the other side, or the company here, and say, look, you sent me here, I'm working in this house, they have taken away my passport. Why don't you do that? As you inform the public or whoever to help you get your passport back, also inform the authorities. It's as simple as that.
As we talk, over thousands of Ugandans go abroad to seek for employment. And as we're speaking now, some are already waiting for a plane, or others have already left during yesterday night, or maybe they'll be leaving today's night. So this clearly shows you that in every other month that comes by, people are looking for external recruitment agencies to get going and leave the country for better, for what they call the greener pastures. Others claim there are better employment opportunities. There are high chances of receiving high pay or high salary in the other outside countries. And most of the Ugandans that have been moving out of the country have been heading to the Middle East to see that they can clearly venture into various businesses in there. So you could see that going in. But on the same matter, why the companies retain workers' passports is when, according to Ronnie Mukundane, is they are supposed to help them to access working permits in the different countries where they're at. And for those that have traveled abroad, you'd clearly understand the importance of a work permit. Even here, Uganda is working on the issue of work permits for the Ugandans working in countries like Tanzania. So working permits are very vital for anyone who is not in their own country, because that gives you an identification of why you are in there. Some go for visiting, but if you've gone there for matters to do with business, you need a working permit. And the reason as why the workers' passports are retained is because of the working permits, and also maybe to access information that is vital for the recruitment agencies abroad that are going to recruit these people and give them job or employment opportunities in various areas. But with that, that is all we've had for you from the world of the SMB Insight, looking at the recruitment agencies. Bigger question is no longer why people travel abroad or people seek for jobs abroad. We all know what is happening in the country. Some very limited space for employees, and then those that want to start up the businesses, lack of skill to start it up, or lack of capital, initial capital for the startup, that has forced a number of them to seek for jobs in the Middle East and also other countries away from that of the Middle East. But with the SMB Insight today, that is where our main focus has been. Well, you can add us, or you can add us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Smart24TV, for more of the business reports and stories. And as well, add me up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Joram Paul Sonko. And follow me, let's discuss business and all that. Then the official website for the station is www.smart24tv.com. YouTube, Smart24TV. Are we on the road to 500 subscribers? Yes, we are. Add us up. Let's get those subscribers ready. View all the details to do with businesses. Anything you might have missed is where you can click on it, play that, and view something to do with business. Maybe you missed out something. Well, you can still grow your business with us by advertising with Smart24 TV as we drive your business. How do you do so? Find us at plot 42 Nile Avenue Road, opposite Garden City. We are in the heart of Kampala. That is it from the SMB Insight. That Smart Means Business does continue after the break with more from the business reports with Rita Cabanyoro. Please stick around.